Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to talk about Spamton and The Addisons. I think I'll start with The Addisons since there's more of them, then we'll save Spamton for last. By Addisons, I mean the main Addisons that hung out with Spamton, because I can't help but add more personality to characters that aren't exactly rich with details. I gave them names and headcanon personalities. So let's do this from left to right. The blue Addison is Sky. They're the oldest of the group. I headcanon that they aren't siblings, but are still very close. Sky likes to be a caretaker. He's the one who usually takes initiative. He's sentimental and kind, and is the most idealistic and flexible. But if someone's in trouble or upset, he'll sacrifice whatever he can to help or comfort them. His rationality gets thrown out the window only for the sake of his loved ones. Being the most responsible one here, he felt really guilty for leaving Spamton at the height of his career, and was the one who went out every night to search for him once he got evicted. He never did find him. So every so often he continues searching, but work has only gotten more hectic, so he has fewer opportunities to go out. And he needs to be there to comfort everyone else. He's lost so much sleep and is the most affected by all of this. Next is the pink Addison, who I named Valentine, Val for short. They're a bit more easygoing, but they do have a similar kindness to Sky and encourage emotional honesty. Val is protective of their loved ones and is the most willing to throw hands or drag someone's name through the mud if provoked. Despite having a bit more aggression in them, they're very affectionate and like to show they care through physical touch. Since they're definitely more passionate, they were very hurt when Spamton and them lost contact. They acted out often and were very irritable for a while, but because they let it all out instead of bottling it up, they got over it fairly quickly. They still love and miss Spamton though. Next is the orange Addison, Sun. Sun prides himself on being a good Addison, in that he tries not to stray from his programming. Because of this, they're a workaholic and are very dedicated to their job. They get so absorbed in their work and playing their role that they neglect to sleep or eat often. Their loved ones have to drag them away from work just to make sure they don't keel over from overworking themselves. They're also the most likely to overheat, which we'll get to later. Basically, if they feel the normal signs of exhaustion or stress, they panic because they still have work to do. They're pretty blind to their own needs, but will preach to others about self-care like they didn't just pull an all-nighter. When Spamton isn't around anymore, their mental state only gets worse. They start questioning themselves and develop a sort of identity crisis over time. They feel like if they're not working, they're worthless, a broken program. Normal signs of stress now make them paranoid of having a virus. They need lots of reassurance just to get by. Yeah, this one got heavy, but when they're not stressed, they're a kind and sweet person that would do whatever they can to help their loved ones. And the last is Whim. They're the youngest of the group. And they're like the opposite of Sun. They're way too hyper and chaotic. They crave attention, so they do crazy stuff to draw crowds. Despite their confidence, they can also be a bit of a scaredy cat. They talk crap, but aren't one to actually throw a punch. Unless you threaten their loved ones, they will release their inner crackhead on you. They're vindictive, but loyal to those who stick with them. They also love cats, but they don't like Whim's energy, so they can never get close enough to one. This devastates them. They were the angriest with Spamton, but kept this mostly bottled up. Their rebellious attitude got worse because of this. Though they're mad at him, they actually miss him the most. They'd never admit it, though. They don't want people to think they actually care. Never. With Whim, everyone around them was grieving so openly about Spamton that they felt like they had to act like all of this didn't bother them. Like someone has to keep it together. So they developed an aloof, more hardened personality to combat the overly emotional environment. This ended up making them more sensitive, though, as they started lashing out more. It would take a while for them to open back up again if so desired. Okay, now I'll go over how I designed their bodies. Most designs I've seen like to draw them as birds, which is adorable, but I had something else in mind when I saw them. To me, they're just people-shaped lamps. Their whole body glows and the light changes depending on their mood. Sadness dulls their color and crying makes their light flicker erratically. Fear also does this, but the color gets brighter instead. When overly stressed, they're at risk of overheating, like a computer, but their bodies heat up and their colors deepen dramatically. Up close, you can hear a frantic whirring inside their bodies, like a computer about to crash. If nothing is done about it, they could faint, or crash in this case, so it's important to take care of themselves when this happens. Solutions for overheating include a cold pack, lowering stimuli, and breathing techniques, since they're prone to hyperventilating in an attempt to cool themselves down. Like I said, this happens to Sun often since he never takes breaks. Usually Sky, Val, and occasionally Whim have to take care of him when he overheats. When overwhelmed or very upset, Addisons do cry and produce tears, but if overwhelmed, the tears evaporate. Let's lighten the mood with some positive emotions. Blush shows as a deep burning glow in a soft tone, and is the deepest shade in the middle of the face. Addisons glow brightly when confident or happy. Their glow spreads out further the happier they are. If an Addison is in a really good mood, you could use them as a flashlight. Now, when the Addisons are at rest, their light mimics the computer when in sleep mode. Their light fades in and out slowly in a rhythm with any other Addisons nearby. And when sick, their forms are very unpredictable. They get sick from viruses, and this makes them glitch out, especially when they sneeze. When they sneeze, it looks insane. And I think that's all I've got for how my Addisons look and how they act. I guess we can move on to Spamton now. Now, as we know, Spamton used to be an Addison. He shared all the same features as one, but he emitted a strange white glow. White wasn't the usual Addison colors. With this and his size defect, he also seemed to be very bad at keeping the attention of customers. Like he had no pitches or speeches in his code to skim through, so he had to improvise for the most part. He also tried to make sales through email. He had a much harder time making profit, and his Addison buddies would try every week to encourage him. And if you know most of the lore, I don't really have to go into what happens next. To summarize, he makes a deal with some guy who makes him super popular, and after a while this guy cuts him off, and all the fame comes crashing down. He becomes homeless, and none of his friends are there to help now. Because he was too busy, they assumed he didn't want to hang out anymore. This is where his canon appearance starts to form, after the fall from grace, I mean. Before he even had time to notice, he began taking on the appearance of a puppet. His joints cut off at segments, his jaw included, his silicone hair replaced with doll hair, and these weird strings clinging to his body. Once he noticed, he had a kind of a breakdown, with no one to support him and his body feeling abused and taken hostage. I did go with the acid theory everyone's been talking about. In his stupor, he did fall into the acid pit and lost his silicone skin, and no longer had that Addison glow. It also shrank him a bit, making him even smaller. Losing his skin made him look even more like a doll. He managed to get his hands on his old suit and some cracked glasses, and his canon look came to be. He moves like a puppet now, but is in denial of it all. He also got infected with a bad virus, which just made his mental state hit rock bottom. Yeah, this poor guy. In all this tragedy, he did get some cool glasses. It's unknown how they do this, but the lenses act as screens and display different colors and images. These changes depend on his mood, but he can change them at will for the most part. Happy is its usual pink and yellow colors. When he laughs, the pink and yellow flip rapidly, and sometimes look like googly eyes. Sad is a more faded pink and yellow, and flickers subtly if he's especially upset. Fear is like sadness, but more erratic and bright. If he wants to look more threatening, he'll have small pupils that shake with malice, looking directly at their target. Anger turns both lenses a vibrant yellow, and his head turns a boiling red. And when sadness turns to despair, the lenses turn dark and dull, and flicker a bit. This one you're probably familiar with, when his glasses show static. This happens when he's dissociating, or someone brings up something he doesn't want to discuss, like people who have betrayed him, or his own well-being. On the bright side, he did keep one feature from his Addison days. The rhythmic fading glow the Addisons have when sleeping shows on his glasses. It's the only feature that remains, and he doesn't even know what happens. Any other projections are used when relevant. As for anything else with his body, he does have a snake-like tongue that people rarely see. And when sick, his body whirs like a computer working overtime. He's able to overheat and crash like an Addison, but he doesn't really care either way anymore. Now I guess I'll go on to my personality headcanons for him. It's not much different, but I have a couple things, I guess. He tends to ramble and go on tangents, obviously. He's the type to get off track and then go, anyway, 10 minutes later. His mannequin body is pretty light, with his head holding most of the weight. He's pretty clumsy since his body has to try and support the extra weight. If he trips and falls, he won't use his arms to get back up. Some unseen strings will pull him upright. It's pretty unsettling. Just imagine Chris watching this happen. This one is cute. If you buy something from him, he'll eject a receipt from his mouth. It's just some random receipt, or if there's none nearby, it's a napkin. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed that. I love thinking of headcanons. They might not be the most special or even that original, but I had fun with it, so whatever. So I'll have more for you guys soon. I do have a video that will be done really soon. I just have a few more things I need to touch up on it, but I'll have some Deltarune content to you guys real soon. Sorry for the long wait, it's just I don't have anything to post just yet, and these projects I've been working on are taking a while. More than I expected, but that's okay. I think you guys are still going to enjoy them anyway. I hope this was good filler. Until then, I can do more of these if I think of more topics. I'll let you guys know. Maybe I'll do a poll or something. Thanks to everyone who's been interacting with the polls, by the way. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'll see you guys later, and I hope you enjoy the next video I post. I've been working really hard on it, and I'm really excited for it. But yeah, that's all I've got, so see you guys later, okay? Bye!